Has Ashton Jeanty finally arrived? On Sunday, Ashton Jeanty finally looked like the 6th overall pick that he was drafted at, breaking out for 155 total yards and 23 touches and 3 touchdowns. Luke, you wrote for Athlon Sports that Ashton Jeanty has finally arrived. So what did you see on Sunday that looked different than his first 3 weeks, and has he finally arrived?
I mean, unfortunately for Raiders fans, the thing I noticed most is that they were playing the Chicago Bears defense, which was very helpful. But he's also playing behind.
Not for Geno Smith, it wasn't.
Jeez. Well, I love Geno. You know how much I love Geno.
I love Geno too. I live it.
He had a really bad day. He made some really bad throws. But no, Jeanty, I think he did a better job. I think honestly the Raiders offensive line played better than they have all season so far. I think they had a good day. I still don't think they're a very good unit on most days. I think they did have a good day, but this just shows you what he's capable of. He looked like he was playing against a Mountain West team finally. Like we saw the big breakout run, the 64-yard touchdown run. We saw what he's able to do when he gets the ball in space as a receiver, making guys miss. That those 2 touchdown catches he had were short, so like they might not jump off the page like, oh, it was like less than 10 yards. You have no idea how valuable a 7-yard touchdown catch is, because it's so hard to score against NFL defenses when you get inside the 10, especially if you're going to throw the ball, because there's just no space. There's no room to do anything because the field is so condensed. So when you can dump the ball off to a running back who can catch it at the 5 or the 4, make a guy or 2 miss and get into the end zone, it's just so valuable to make sure that you get a touchdown instead of a field goal, because it's so hard to throw the ball in those windows. So again, when you go back to everybody's evaluation of Ashton Jeanty going into this draft was, yeah, he plays running back. It's not as important a position. But if you take the position away and just evaluate how talented he is, how hard of a worker he is, how great of a teammate he is, how great of a leader, I mean, he's just a near flawless prospect in every way that matters as an athlete, as in all those intangible things. And so if he wasn't a running back, if he was a quarterback, obviously, or a corner or a pass rusher, if he had all those traits, he would be a no-brainer top 2 or 3 pick. Yeah. So the fact that he plays running back, and again, I've said this, if you want to find a decent running back, you can get that guy in the 3rd or 4th round. If you want a special one, you have to take him early. Go look at those truly special running backs in this league at all ages. McCaffrey, Barkley, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, all these guys, top 10, top 12 picks. And those are the guys that are difference makers that set themselves apart. Derrick Henry's really the only outlier as a high 2nd round pick. But Ashton Jeanty finally looked like the guy we were hoping he would be. And again, he doesn't get to play the Bears every week. I know Colton Miller went down in that game. I don't know what his prognosis is, so that's not going to help losing your left tackle. But it just showed you, we got to have some patience with a guy that's only played a few games in the NFL, and that player is still in there. Like, he is still the same guy. And it's just going to take time to get him to be that version of himself on a weekly basis. But that's what everybody saw, right? The ability to make people miss in space, the ability to break tackles and turn a 6 or 7 yard run into a 64-yard touchdown. All of that stuff is there. The rest of the supporting cast needs to do their job more consistently. Ashton Jeanty's probably the player on the Raiders I'm worried about the least, because I just believe in his talent so much. That's why he was such a consensus, high prospect for every team, and why the Raiders, that's a risky pick as a new regime, right? John Spytek, first time general manager, coming from spending all those years in Tampa under Jason Light. Pete Carroll, not his first rodeo, right? But definitely want to get things right. It takes guts to take a running back at 6 as your first pick of that kind of brass, that your tenure there. I think they got a special player. I think we finally saw a glimpse of it there. He'll have way more days like that than he will days where he's getting 2 yards a carry in his career. I can bank on that.
One thing I noticed, and I never understand why guys come into the NFL and their coaches immediately say, okay, all these things that made you great, we're going to have you not do them anymore. Jeanty, and you know this, Luke, obviously, it ran upright. He stood up and just took the ball. And in the first few games, Kelly had him hands on his knee, traditional running back. Well, it's like why some quarterbacks don't like under center play action, because they have to drop and turn and then come back, and there's so many moving parts. Well, you notice that Jeanty, he's not a tall guy. He ran sort of upright, and because he was straight up, he could get a read, and he could read the whole thing all the way. The quarterbacks would prefer not to have under center play action, some of them, because you have to turn your back and then come back, and it's hard for some people to readjust. I'm not saying that Jeanty couldn't do it. He's obviously a singular talent, But I noticed in that Bears game, he's just standing straight up. He's taking the ball, the 64-yard run. I believe that was inside zone. I could be wrong on that, but it was
I think it was, and he ended up bouncing it.
And he broke like 5 tackles, and you could see the difference in the immediacy of his cuts and his penetration going to and through the hole. He had it back on lock, and you saw that Boise State player. So whether Chip Kelly figured it out or someone said, "Hey, Chip, smack, let him run the way he runs," it was a major fundamental difference. And it happened. It was more, he had a couple of runs over 10 yards as well. And it was just that same thing. Like, okay, now I can read the blocks. Now I know when to go. And now I can just use my instincts and my acumen at the same time. Sometimes it's just those little tweaks, let him do what he wants. Don't mess with it. It's like telling Jimi Hendrix to play like Malcolm Young. What are we doing here?
Yeah, that's really. It seems like a small thing, but any advantage you can give any player, I think, is your job as a coach. And I think sometimes it's like there's a pull probably on the coaches to be like, well, this is the way we do it here. This is the way we do it in the league. These are these proper things that I have been taught as a coach. This is how we do it. And then you get to a player who is just so special that it starts to push those rules in different directions. You have to know. Great coaches know. We talk about this in writing all the time, just writing in general. You have to know the rules so you can break the rules, yep. Right? Like you have to know so that you know when the right moment is. That's how you have to do it as a coach too, where you're like, yeah, most of the time, this is probably a good standard to have. This is the way we want you to stand up. This is why. These are the reasons why it makes sense. But then you just end up with a guy like Jeanty where it's like, no, I'm just gonna let this guy. I'm gonna let Jimmy play whatever the hell Jimmy wants to play, however he wants to play it.
And Jeanty, he's used to running at eye level. So when he was down a little bit, he was actually running lower. He was running about 6 inches lower, and he's not used to that. So he had to like reacclimate his eyes to what was going on in front of him. But why would you handicap him like that? So I'm glad they figured it out.
Yeah, there are so many things that are already going to be unavoidable challenges for any rookie in the first few weeks of their NFL career. We don't need to add more onto that on purpose. So I think it may seem like a small thing, but I think, again, giving him as many things not to worry about as possible, letting him do it in what comes naturally and what, again, every part of what made him a 2,600-yard rusher at Boise State, which is just absolutely insane.
He broke over 150 tackles last season.
Yeah. Let him be whatever he wants to be and die on other hills than how he stands in the backfield, especially if these are the results and the differences between what we're going to see from him on the field.
And these small things are not small things. It is so ridiculously diabolically hard to be good in the NFL at all that like if a cornerback turns 30 and he loses a quarter of a step, all of a sudden he's a broadcaster. So those little tiny details, those little tiny degrees, mean a ton. They really do.
So what do you think? Has the Ashton Jeanty breakout finally happened? Let us know in the comments below.